Rumble recording, and we over here on YouTube live on the vertical. Shouts out to y'all. Welcome back, Team DWC. It's your boy TWP Popcorn. If you don't know, you should already know what time it is. It's 6 p.m. Wednesday. Shouts out to the OG from the AZ. I was just over at his place because he was live, sitting there talking about doing his THING. And Lord knows when he does his things, it's special. So for everybody acting funny, yeah, that's just y'all being funny. But anyways, y'all already know how we gonna do today. We got some videos to review, some weed I'm gonna smoke, and some shit I'm gonna talk. So if you ain't here for it, go ahead, just hit the thumbs up on your way out. So every time I go live, you'll still see that I'm live. At least you can come by and hate, right? Shouts out to y'all for being haters, because yeah, you ain't always got to support everybody. You could be one of my regular haters. I'll keep you employed. Hell, I might need to roll up too, so I might just leave all this weed out. Fuck it. Shouts out to the What's Poppin' playlist. Y'all know it's Wednesday. We like to talk about things that we done found going on out here. Because we got content to review for days, because there's plenty of content to watch out here on YouTube. Shouts out to the YouTube, because that's what we do. Let's just go ahead and get to it, and I'll be talking to myself until somebody else shows up. Shouts out to Six Bows. I saw she was live at the swimming pool. Y'all know to go check out Sis content. My ashtray moved. I don't know. We'll figure it out someday.
First, they tried to start legal business operations, and it was a lot of Cantonese-speaking individuals being brought from New York and Massachusetts to work at these locations. But they quickly realized that following the rules and doing following the regulations and growing certain numbers of plants and not using pesticides and having certain health and safety protocols was really expensive, and they could make more money if they just completely disregarded the rules. So that's what they started doing. And so the initial wave of Chinese growers who came from out of state quickly lost their licenses, and that's when they figured, well, why don't we just do this completely illegally? That's going to save us a lot of money. And so they started buying rural houses out in just the middle of nowhere, Maine. I mean, these are, places where you have to drive an hour and a half to get to the nearest grocery store. They're lucky that some places don't have cell phone service. They're lucky they have electricity. So Maine is a very, very big state.
Surprised nobody in that short told me that I had something in my beard.
We're still waiting to see if the governor of Texas will sign that THC ban into law, or if he'll veto it and reject the ban. But while it sits on the governor's desk, a bunch of moms have come together in Houston calling for the governor to sign that bill into law. But before we get into that, let's see where we are with this THC ban right now in Texas.
A controversial bill is now sitting on Governor Greg Abbott's desk, one that could dismantle a multi-billion-dollar industry. 25 News Now weekend anchor Amaya Norman has more.
As Senate Bill 3 lands on the governor's desk, to veterans and those managing chronic pain, they are raising concerns. To understand the importance of this bill, we spoke to three people that could be impacted. Senate Bill 3 has officially passed the state Senate and is awaiting action from Governor Abbott. The bill targets hemp products and all THC.
But this was a wildly unpopular move by Lieutenant Dan, right? Nobody wants this. Nobody asked for it. Nobody wants it.
Supporters of the bill, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, says these products are dangerous and even claim they'll kill your kids. But hemp councils and shop owners see it differently.
Every industry has a company that's not great, right? That doesn't do things right. Nobody shuts down the industry, right? They just go after the bad actors.
And that's exactly what they should be doing in this situation. But as you guys would have heard on previous reporting that we did on this issue, Lieutenant Dan Patrick literally has a bee in his bonnet about this issue and has made it his personal mission to get this bill passed. But if we were to apply his logic to any other industry, there are people in...
Which is exactly why the people in Texas better make sure they vote his ass out, okay? Hell, you have 100% of the people saying that they didn't vote for him the next election. Then he'll feel that, oh, maybe that was a mistake. Hell. Yeah, well, next time I run, I'll make sure I do what the people want. The people want hemp. Hell, let them have their weed. Let them. They gonna do it anyways, right?
In the automotive industry, people in the food industry, there are a lot of bad actors in all industries. But does that just mean that we shut everything down? I don't think so.
Come September, if the bill passes, thousands of stores could be forced to clear their shelves and more than 50,000 Texans could be out of work.
To continue the disconnect, you look at the Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller, who has said this will not affect farmers. That shows a complete and utter lack of connection to the industry.
Some argue the Senate lacks real education on how these products work, and the impact wouldn't just hit vape shops or CBD retailers. It would ripple far beyond.
These products are heavily regulated. They're very well tested, and our veteran community and the VFW specifically is latched onto hemp.
Agriculture experts say this bill could devastate hemp's farmers, many of whom transitioned from traditional crops to grow what was once considered the future of Texas agriculture.
And it's not just the money, it's the time, the labor, and the belief in the state-sanctioned opportunity. The state of Texas told us that, they were going to be the greatest hemp-producing state in the United States 6 years ago. And then here we are today after, thousands of people have invested their livelihood and their time into an industry that the state of Texas welcomed us into.
Devin Sharp, a farmer who grows hemp, started his agriculture career in Victoria and later moved to San Antonio, where his business is now located. He expressed, "We trusted the government, and now all of our hard work feels wasted."
At the end of the day, we followed the law. We trusted the government, the state of Texas, when it told us that hemp was legal and a promising opportunity. We did everything by the book. We got licenses, we paid taxes, we created jobs, and we tried to build something meaningful.
So farmers on the ground are not happy about this, and there's clearly a disconnect between the farmers on the ground and the people in Senate, people in local government. Some of them are saying the hemp industry is not going to be affected, but they're thinking biomass hemp. Not everyone else who's thinking all of the medicinal benefits that can be obtained from some of these hemp-derived consumables, and that right there is the disconnect. The people making laws have no idea about what they're making the laws on. Now, just a quick reminder, guys, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or just buy us a cup of coffee. Now, based on the comments from my previous episodes that I did on this issue, a lot of people are not happy about this bill, but there are some people who are calling for that bill to be signed into law, particularly those band of mothers who come together in Houston. They're calling for Governor Abbott to sign that bill into law. But before we have a look at that, let's see what the polls say, and let's see how many people are in favor or against this bill, or just have no idea what they want to happen.
When politics trump policy, we have a problem.
President of the Texas Hemp Business Council, Cynthia Cabrera, says Senate Bill 3 would be a huge step backwards for Texas.
You're hurting the state, you're putting people out of business, and you're taking away something that's been legal for 6 years.
A new poll from the THBC and Republican pollster Chris Perkins of Regner Research Partners found 45% of Texas Republican primary voters oppose a ban on THC. 35% support a ban and 21% are unsure.
The backlash has been tremendous. Nobody asked for this. Nobody wanted this.
Dr. Mark Jones with Rice University says the pressure from this $10.2 billion industry puts Governor Greg Abbott in a tough position.
I think the governor believes this is probably a headache and something he would rather not have to deal with.
Abbott has until June 22nd to sign the bill or veto it. If he chooses to veto, Dr. Jones says that all but guarantees a special summer legislative session.
Pretty much everyone comes to the conclusion the status quo of an unregulated market is.
Last time I checked, you're supposed to sign something with a pen, not a Sharpie. Hell, but although that Sharpie probably looks good, but yeah, they informal now. And speaking of informal, shout out to YouTube for changing up the studios again, I see. Because now they done took out the 5-minute highlights and put in the 49-second highlights. So highlights are going to be different apparently coming up. So at probably basically the end of the month, whenever my highlights get done and these new ones kick in, y'all will see what I'm talking about later on. Shouts out to y'all for paying attention.
isn't good.
On Wednesday, Governor Abbott told a reporter with the Houston Chronicle that he's carefully considering both sides of the issue and using his judicial background to weigh a decision. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick hasn't commented on the governor's indecision, but has repeatedly said the state has no choice but to close the dangerous loophole created in 2019.
This is serious business. This is not Dan's folly. This is not Dan's priority. This is to save an entire generation of being hooked on drugs.
Dr. Jones says the safest bet for the governor is to neither sign or veto the bill, since it would just automatically go into law once the deadline passes.
How the hell is that an option? You just look like a spineless coward. Anyway, let's continue.
That's his way of saying, I would have done it differently, but a veto is a pretty serious step.
Well, as you guys can see, no one has any idea what's going to happen when it comes to this particular ban down in Texas. And it's crazy to see. We got 9 days left for the governor to either make a decision to veto it, sign it, or just let it automatically become law. But let's hear what those mothers have to say, because a bunch of moms actually want the governor to sign that ban into law.
Only on Fox here tonight, 5 Houston area mothers are pressing the governor to sign SB 3 into law, banning synthetic THC. They say their young adult children were left with mental issues and addiction woes. Here's Fox 26's Randy Wallace with the exclusive report.
Now, before we actually hear what they have to say, we heard a lot of testimony previously, and if you guys want to find out a lot of that reefer madness that was being spewed in that testimony, check that episode out. But let's hear what these moms have got to say.
You can buy these products in any vape store, but these mothers say there's something you don't know about them. These 5 mothers asked us not.
Well, like they said, these are available in vape stores and places where they're supposed to make sure that the people buying things are 21. If you send your kid in the store to go buy something that they ain't supposed to be able to buy, now you got a case against that damn store. So, once again, quit trying to control everybody and get on the motherfucking people that ain't doing their damn jobs. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? But, hey, they do it that way these days. I mean, they act like they go sit at the kid table like I was telling the Pilgrim a minute ago. I ain't got time to be sitting at the kid table. Hell, I didn't even like sitting at the kid table when I was supposed to sit at the kid table. You dig? Hell, it's crazy. Now they all finna get on here talking ish. Of course, they got the one token black woman, and let's see, 1, 2, 3 lighter tone women. You dig? Lighter tone. We ain't gonna say they all from the same series of mountains, but we know what we talking about. And then you got, who is this? Is that a Chicana or is that a Filipina? You can't tell. Is it Mexican or is it Asian? We don't know, but they damn near the same. Either way, let's hear what these crazy people got to say.
To say their last names.
These people have attacked us. They put our homes on X, and they on social media have gone after us.
The leader of our organization, Health and Safety Texas, has received death threats.
Well, that right there is obviously not right, guys. That cannot be happening. We should not be doing that type of stuff. That's exactly
what we are supposed to do. Hell, if somebody over here telling other people to do something that doesn't benefit you, you got to step in and take action. You can't just sit on the sideline saying, I hope it works out. Nah, Billy. If we know who the people are, we supposed to be the people that go against them. Therefore, your life is supposed to be in danger. You done made a decision to try to control other people's life. If your kid at the damn store buying fucking edibles and shit, why A, did you give him the money, and B, why did you let him go to the store? He just said, I'm gonna run to the store real quick, and you didn't check the facts. You're the lazy person at that point, you dig? But you can't tell them that, because that means they actually got to be a parent, and apparently they're not parents.
what a lot of people are doing, and they're trying to dock some of these National Guards or some of these agents who are working with the feds. But that's besides the point. Let's get back into this.
Death threats.
The moms are battling an $8 billion industry in Texas that employs around 50,000. One of the biggest draws to vape shops, synthetic THC, also known as Delta 8.
This is not plant-derived marijuana. This is molecularly altered synthetic THC. It increases anxiety, depression, and then puts them at a 7-time greater risk of suicide. It's got to be safe. Why would it not be safe if I can just walk in here and get it so easy?
People assume the government wouldn't allow it if it weren't safe.
The mothers say synthetic THC is not only more potent, it also has a variety of unknown chemicals
Methamphetamine used to be the drug that induced psychosis the most often.
Are we really doing that meth comparison?
Replaced by THC.
Bruh. Each mom here says their young adult child suffered from serious mental and addiction issues after using.
But half of that was putting up with that lazy ass mom that just let them go to the damn store and do whatever the fuck they wanted, Elmer. Come on now. You can't blame it on the weed because your pothead child is overly depressed about shit he's talking to you about. Then they're like, well, it must be the weed. He wouldn't say this to me if he wasn't high off of weed. He's over here asking me questions that make me evaluate myself knowing that I'm slacking. Of course I let him go in the gas station. And I told him, hopefully you burn it in hell. Hell. Goofy shit. It's goofy.
What's currently a legal drug.
There was times where I just thought, can I just drive my car over this freeway and go? Because it was just so...
She make it sound like she was the one smoking. I thought she was moms against fucking kids getting high. We all understand, don't nobody want their kid getting high unless they got a prescription. If you got a prescription, you get edibles. You don't even get to smoke. Because like I said in my last video, ain't no motherfucker with it that's under 21 that ain't supposed to be smoking in my house. I don't give a fuck who he is. Hell, you gonna sit your ass outside and eat you an edible type shit. Hell, ain't no I gotta get my blunt for my prescription. Nah, we got you some fucking edibles for your prescription. So every couple hours you can eat a piece of this brownie. Not the whole brownie, because we don't want you too zooted. You might fall the fuck out.
It's so traumatizing for the parent to see your loved one in this situation.
If it gets to a certain point, you've lost your own child. There's nothing you can do.
Governor Abbott has yet to say if he's going to sign SB 3 or veto it. He has until June 22nd to decide. Want to find out more? Go to every
That'd be exactly what I be trying to remind them. They got all these old ass people that's in politics that need to sit their ass down somewhere. Sit their ass down somewhere. Because they don't know what they doing or they talking about. And then I like how in this picture they just done cropped out the black lady because they didn't want her in the photo op. Yeah, that's that bullshit.
Matters.org. And again, I have no problem with people who are against the good herb. You have your own right to feel that way. But don't ban it for everyone when there are a lot of people who actually get benefit from a lot of these products. Now, just on the note of synthetics, a lot of these products may be THCP or maybe THCA products. Some of them may be Delta 8 or Delta 9. And I'll leave you guys to do research on that because that's something that we discussed literally in our last few episodes. But what's really remarkable is some of the websites that they set up. It's always meant to trigger your emotional heartstrings. You guys heard it right there. Everybrainmatters.org. It's absolutely crazy, as if your brain doesn't matter if you consume the good herb. Just make it make sense. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all that. I'm really interested to find out what you guys got to say. Do you guys think Governor Abbott is going to sign that ban into law, or do you think he's going to veto it? Or do you think he'll just do nothing and let it become law automatically, which is probably just as bad as signing it into law?
I think he gonna just sit back and not do nothing, because if he was gonna veto it or sign it, he would have already did it. It ain't no, oh, I haven't been in my office and it's just been sitting on my desk type of shit. Nah, he already playing with people. That's why he ain't did nothing, because he ain't gotta even do nothing, and then it's not his fault because he's not the one who, well, no matter what, it's not his fault because he just stayed out of it. He said, I'm gonna mind my own business, whether the people want it or not. Whatever happens, happens. Cause somebody let it slide up to my desk and I ain't do shit with it. But that's on him. You know, watch who y'all vote for, apparently, because I keep telling y'all they gonna lie to you to get in office and then not do shit.
And you guys may have missed it, but we actually
or
did a
fuck
video
shit up
going
even
through
worse.
all of the reefer madness that's happening down in Texas, and it's pretty crazy. So check it out, because it's coming up right now.
I can't say it. I don't even want to drive through Texas now. Right there on the list, right beside Kansas. Fuck.
Stuff? I texted you, remember? Dog, I haven't checked my phone in hours. No? You texted me back like 10 minutes ago. Really? You sure about that? You want me to show you? Oh, come on, bro. There's no need for us to fight. I'm not fighting. So what you need? Just a quarter? Gotcha. Be right back. Jesus, come on, dude. Here you go. You take care, man. There's like cops everywhere, dude. Doesn't that worry you?
Sometimes.
Oh, shit. Freeze, please. Get down on the ground. Get out. Come out of the apartment with your hands raised. Surrender yourself.
The earliest written record
No,
of
that's a
people using
joint.
cannabis, also known as marijuana, goes back to around 2727 BC in China. Back then, they saw it as something that could help with health issues. The ancient Greeks and Romans also knew about cannabis, and in places like the Middle East, the use of cannabis spread across the Islamic Empire into North Africa. In the 16th century, cannabis made its way to the Western Hemisphere when Spaniards brought it to Chile, mainly for its use in making fiber. In North America, the Spanish introduced cannabis, which was mainly grown as hemp on many farms. During the early days of colonial times, hemp became an important crop for farmers. Hemp, along with tobacco, became a big crop that people exported long before the American Revolution. It all started in 1611, when a few plants were brought across the Atlantic by the first settlers of Jamestown, Virginia. In 1619,
Going deep
King
into
James
the
I
history today,
ordered
see,
these American
we
colonists
be
in
pulling them
Jamestown
up for you.
to increase their efforts to help England. The Virginia Company, which governed Jamestown, told the landowners to grow and send 100 hemp plants to support England. Later on, the colonists grew hemp to help expand England's influence in the Americas. Cannabis farming played a big part in the early days of the United States. Even George Washington grew hemp at Mount Vernon as one of his main crops. In the 18th and 19th centuries, hemp was widely used for making rope and fabric in the United States. After cannabis made its way to New England in 1629, from then until after the Civil War, it became an absolutely vital crop in North America. It played a key role in both colonial times and the country's economic plans. In 1775, people started growing hemp in Kentucky, and big hemp farms popped up in Mississippi, Georgia, California, South Carolina, and Nebraska throughout the 1800s. Cannabis was also used for medicine, and by the 1850s, it was available in American pharmacies after being introduced to Western medicine by William O'Shaughnessy in 1839. He specialized in herbs and taught his fellow Western doctors how to ease muscle spasms and pain via cannabis. People also used it to help with migraines and sleep problems, and it was a common pain reliever until aspirin was invented years later. During this time, there were efforts to control the sale of medicines, and laws were made in different states to regulate cannabis. These laws aimed to stop drugs from being mislabeled, mixed with undisclosed narcotics, or sold improperly, especially if they were harmful. Some laws required labels on drug packages to warn about their dangers, or they only allowed them to be sold in licensed pharmacies with a doctor's prescription.
Yeah, drugstore.
These laws also often prevented selling medicines to minors and limited how many times a prescription could be refilled. In a bulletin from the United States Department of Agriculture from around this time, it was noted that 29 states had laws related to cannabis. Some states, like Wisconsin and Louisiana, required a doctor's prescription for cannabis sales, while others did not list restricted drugs, but required labeling, including Nebraska and New York. In New York, the law originally listed cannabis as a poison, passed in 1860 after several suicides reportedly involving substances later classified as poisons. The initial version of the law prohibited the sale of cannabis without a doctor's written order, but the final version allowed sales without a prescription as long as the purpose and the buyer's details were recorded. However, all packaging had to bear the label poison, uppercase red letters. Even in states where cannabis was not included in poison
Y'all
laws,
know what
there
those
were efforts
uppercase red letters mean, right? That means them doctors wasn't playing with you back then. That means you might not make it home. Hell, the weed was so good they had to put the red letters with all caps. Shout out to Caps Lock. Hell, we got a video about that. Like to see it? Nah, go look in the playlist. You dig? That's why we put in work so we can talk about the work we already done put in versus being like our favorite D student and forget that we done put in so much work that we supposed to keep up with our own work. Hell, I tell you, I done did a lot of content, but we can go back. We can go back for back. Hell, I remember sitting there smoking that day. Look at what I was doing. Hell, I was over here taking notes. I can even show you the pages of the notebook because that's how they got filled up. Hell, but I ain't gonna sit here and keep y'all kicking it with me all day because you know this going to the replay game. Hell, if I look at my video numbers right now, 0 likes, 0 people in chat. That's what's cracking because I ain't got my other phone at the moment. That's what happened.
In California, a bill introduced in 1880
Can't
aimed to
even be in my
regulate the
own
sale of
chat. I
opium
just gotta watch it
and
go
other
by.
narcotic
Like
poisons,
I
including
can still block
preparations
and ban
made
your
from
ass
hemp.
though. But you know, I just
While this
can't
bill
be
was
here
withdrawn
jeffing.
in favor of one focused solely on opium, subsequent bills addressing hemp-based drugs were introduced before the turn of the century. Between California and the Mississippi River, though, all bets were off, as the lawlessness in many territories and soon-to-be states meant local governments had not one iota of a decree or order banning the growth and consumption of cannabis. Historians explain that cannabis is a plant that spreads its pollen through the wind and grows well in areas where humans have made changes to the environment, like fields cleared of trees or brush. The perfect description for the American frontier in the mid to late 19th century. Because it was widely available in the western United States by this time period, cannabis became a popular substitute for tobacco. This was widely true where tobacco wasn't as easily accessible, again, in Western territories. It was also cheaper and could be found on the side of the road, depending on where one traveled. Cannabis flourishing across the Wild West was also the first time the plant was widely consumed purely for its psychoactive effects. In other words, it stopped being used as a medicine and quickly turned into a recreational substance. Enter the Cannabis Cowboys.
Wild, wild weed west.
During the 19th century, as irrigation projects changed the landscape of the western United States, Mexican workers introduced cannabis to areas in the west and north. And after the Mexican-American War, the newly unionized Texas held the biggest population of displaced Mexican people, as well as becoming the hotspot for those looking to flee the growing imperial vice grip squeezing Mexico as a country. As a result, Texas was by and large the first frontier locale to see an uptick in recreational cannabis consumption. This newfound recreation was by and large contained within working class circles, specifically Mexican laborers. These groups included cowboys, who were predominantly African American and Mexican men at that point in time. Cannabis didn't take off like you might think, however. It was still a relatively unknown substance to a majority of settlers on the frontier, as other narcotics and medicinal opiates, not to mention alcohol, were the ingestibles of choice. Cannabis also arrived across the border with a new name, marijuana, the anglicized Spanish word for reefer. The recreational use of cannabis began to emerge in the early 20th century, introduced to the U.S. by Mexicans fleeing the dictatorship of President Porfirio Diaz. In fact, one of the most well-known cannabis cowboys in history played a critical part in the Mexican Revolution. Francisco Pancho Villa, the outlaw turned hero, and the Robin Hood of Mexico, was also a stoner and pot connoisseur. Pancho Villa is celebrated for his military prowess, but his personal life remains largely shrouded in
when I'm on the
mystery.
clock, shoot everybody you want,
know
boss.
about him comes
But after
from oral
that, I'm
traditions in
smoking
Mexico,
every blunt I
where
want,
his
boss.
legendary exploits are passed down through folk songs called
Good thing
corridos.
these 1 minute clips, because
These
that
songs
makes it make
paint him not
sense.
only as a skilled fighter, but also as someone who knew how to enjoy life to the fullest, along with an obsession with cannabis. During the Mexican Revolution, Villa's escapades were immortalized in 4 popular battle hymns, including Adelita and La Cucaracha. While Adelita tells a tale of tragic love, La Cucaracha became Villa's anthem, detailing his triumphs, struggles, and wild lifestyle during the revolution. La Cucaracha notably glorifies marijuana, which was a common indulgence among Villa's troops during the conflict. It's believed that around half of Villa's army,
cameras on the
including many
fucking
Yaqui
right.
natives, regularly
Y'all
used
see your boy getting a
marijuana,
little bit good
sometimes
with it,
even before
showing some
battles,
skills.
believing it
'Cause
gave
we
them
got
strength
skills
and
with it.
courage. In addition to marijuana, Villa's troops often indulged mezcal and sotol, alcoholic beverages made from desert plants. Villa himself was known for his extravagant lifestyle, earning him a reputation as a charismatic leader who knew how to have a good time. Despite his penchant for partying, Villa was also a formidable military strategist, leading successful operations even with poorly equipped and untrained troops. His followers, known as Villistas, remained inspired by his leadership, even during challenging times when supplies were scarce. Born Doroteo Arango, Villa's early life was marked by poverty and hardship. He rose to prominence as an outlaw and bandit, becoming a folk hero among the poor farmers he often
They
aided with
make
his
his
raids
head look
on
funny
local
that
haciendas.
way.
While Villa was notorious for his
Oh,
romantic
shit.
escapades, including multiple
I
marriages
quit
and
playing with y'all,
relationships,
man. Get
his life
serious.
took a
Nah,
more
we ain't taking it
revolutionary
too
turn
serious.
in
We doing
1909.
our normal
The death of his
routine.
daughter,
Hell.
coupled with mistreatment by a wealthy landowner, ignited Villa's
What do
desire
they
for
say?
social
Be
justice,
yourself.
leading
Be
him
good
to
to
join the
yourself.
revolutionary cause.
And fuck other people.
Pancho Villa initially joined the revolution for selfish reasons. During that time, Mexico was
See,
rife with
selfish
various
reasons.
revolutionary groups.
He was taking care of
And Villa
himself.
saw an opportunity for profit through looting, plundering,
But
and
nobody
violence
else gonna do it.
as part of the
Damn, look at
revolutionary
all the
army.
ladies with the pistols.
However, his encounter with the
Yeah,
prominent
them rifles.
revolutionary leader, Francisco
Why
Madero,
do you need
changed his
AR-15s?
perspective.
Here, you go shoot one.
Madero's strong
I see what
ideals
you're
about
talking
land
about. Let me
reform
get
and
about
social
6 of
justice
them.
deeply resonated with Villa,
Yeah,
despite his
get
limited
some with less of a
understanding
kick
of
too,
political
right?
intricacies involved.
Yeah, you can
From
shoot
then on,
faster
Villa
and it don't
pledged his
kick
loyalty
back.
Madero
I got you.
in the revolution, despite
Shouts out to
occasional
Black
outbursts
Guns.
of temper.
Yeah, we gotta
Villa
do a
faced
collab
numerous
coming up.
challenges during his
I think I did
revolutionary
one
journey.
already, but you know
He
me,
narrowly
I just
escaped
tag
death
people in these
sentences on
videos
multiple
I do.
occasions,
Yeah,
thanks
they
to
gonna be
last-minute
like, how the fuck I
reprieves
get
from
tagged in
Madero.
this video? 'Cause that's
Despite his
what I
devotion,
do, Elmer.
Villa spent 4 months in a Mexico City jail before making a daring escape Mexican Independence Day. Fleeing to El Paso, he quickly regrouped and
Keep
formed a
forgetting
new
I had a
army in
video I'm
Chihuahua
supposed to
City.
do that I ain't did yet.
After a
but,
fierce battle, his forces captured Juarez,
you know how
and
we
Villa
do.
assumed
We
control
be
of the
putting these
city,
playlists together.
implementing
so
various
usually
reforms,
I just
and
gotta go ahead
enjoying a
and
lavish
record on it.
lifestyle funded by
I got
taxes
some
and legalized
Rumble
vices,
exclusives and buy me a
gambling,
coffee
and
members
prostitution.
content coming, so be on the lookout
During
for
his
that.
rule in Juarez, Villa lived extravagantly, using hidden treasures to fund his army and indulge in luxuries like fancy cars and
Or when you over there
unlimited
on the
cannabis.
Rumble, ask for an exclusive.
He gained
Like, hey, what you
widespread
got for the
acclaim as
Rumble? Give
Madero's
me
top
something to
general,
watch just when I'm
and even
here.
returned control of
Boop,
Chihuahua
gotcha.
City to the people as a Christmas gift.
You can go ahead and become a member
Despite his
over
military triumphs, Villa's fortunes took a downturn when his
Already.
old rival Carranza rose to power, backed by the United States. Villa's raid on Columbus, New Mexico, prompted a punitive expedition led by General Blackjack Pershing. Though Pershing failed to capture Villa, the pursuit strained his resources and led to a decline in his influence. In his last bid for glory, Villa launched an assault on Juarez, but was defeated due to his troops' stoned drunkenness. He retired to a ranch, but was assassinated in 1923, ending the life of a complex and controversial figure whose legacy continues to be debated. What's not up for debate is the impact Pancho Villa and his fellow Mexican contingent's cannabis craze had on the consumption of cannabis around the rest of the American West. The United States was developing rapidly at the quarter turn of the century, and the lawlessness of the open frontier was giving way to organized local governments. The heyday of the Wild West was over, and so was the acceptance of cannabis. As cannabis gained popularity in the United States, it became associated with negative stereotypes against Mexicans. And in the 19th century, newspapers and medical journals mainly referred to the plant as cannabis. However, in the early 20th century, the term marijuana became more common, partly due to anti-cannabis groups aiming to emphasize its Mexican origins and fuel anti-immigrant sentiments. The criminalization of cannabis is often attributed to various influential groups with economic interests in suppressing hemp production. They spread stories linking cannabis.
So that makes sense, right? Sense. Anyways, that makes sense because, like they said, they linked it to immigrants from Mexico. Hey, you know them Mexicans back in the day had that red hair, which was considered a little bit higher grade quality cannabis. So if you had some Mexican weed, you actually had some good weed. Hey, I mean, come on now, correlation, people, correlation. I ain't gonna tell you the story; it's gonna write itself.
To violent behavior, particularly among Mexican immigrants. This fear-mongering, coupled with existing prejudices, led to state-level restrictions and eventually federal prohibition.
God damn, they straight
In
came with it. I thought they was
Harry
going straight away from the story.
The U.S. Narcotics Commissioner testified before Congress, presenting racially
said,
charged
"Fuck that, we'll
anecdotes
tell you the
to
truth."
support marijuana prohibition. Similar sentiments were expressed by others, including Henry J. Finger, a member of California's State Board of Pharmacy, who voiced concerns about the drug's popularity among immigrants. While anti-cannabis sentiment had racial undertones, the narratives that cannabis was outlawed solely because of Mexicans is complicated. Mexico had already prohibited marijuana in 1920, years before the U.S. federal government's crackdown. The concern stemmed not only from racial biases, but also from genuine fears about the drug's effects. Historical accounts suggest that before the 1900s, cannabis was primarily discussed for its medical and industrial uses. However, by the early 20th century, sensationalized news stories, like one from the Los Angeles Times in 1905, portrayed marijuana as a dangerous substance, linked to violent behavior and mental deterioration. The perception of marijuana drastically changed during this time. However, there's limited information about its actual usage and effects, especially in terms of dosage, consumption methods, and potential combinations with other substances. The experience of smoking a joint mixed with tobacco would differ greatly from consuming cannabis-infused food or drink. By 1936, every state had prohibited the recreational use of cannabis. The federal government further solidified this ban with the introduction of the Marijuana Tax Act in 1937. Despite these laws, cannabis continued to be used illicitly until the 1960s. During the 1960s, cannabis gained widespread popularity yet again, especially among young people and the hippie counterculture. It became a common sight at protests against the Vietnam War. However, it remained illegal for any purpose. In 1970, the use of cannabis was officially banned for all purposes with the passing of the Controlled Substances Act. This legislation came after the Supreme Court invalidated the Marijuana Tax Act in 1969, ruling in the case Leary versus United States. In the Wild West, cannabis played a multifaceted role, evolving from a medicinal plant used by immigrant laborers to a recreational substance associated with outlaws and cowboys. Its journey through the frontier reflects broader societal shifts, from acceptance to prohibition and back again. Despite being outlawed for much of the 20th century, 24 states have since rescinded their bans on cannabis, with another 14 legalizing cannabis for medicinal purposes only. However, weed in the United States is still nothing like it was back in the late 19th century. As we continue to navigate the complex landscape of cannabis regulation and perception, its history in the Wild West serves as a reminder of its enduring cultural significance and its ability to shape and be shaped by the societies in which it is found.
Thought my volume was low. Oops. Let's see if it goes up. Part 2 of the video.
Well,
we don't do that in the state of Texas. We put the dealers, we give people second chances. We say to people, you made a mistake. The judges in our state have got a lot of discretion.
Well, first of all, what is and isn't a Schedule 1 narcotic is a job for Congress. I think it's the DEA's. It's not something by ourselves that we start changing. No, there are laws undergirding most determination. You support them, but the point, I stand by my belief, based I think on the scientific evidence, that marijuana for casual users, individual users, is subject to abuse just like alcohol is, and should be treated as a public health problem and challenge.
It should be changed inside. It should not be. We should move in a direction to make sure it's not a criminal offense. It's a civil offense. Number one. Anything, in fact, any conviction.
He literally forgot what he was talking about. Shout out to.
If you're still buying your bud from the dispensary, you might want to hear this. Let's talk about why homegrown wins. But first, check this out. Today's video was brought to you by RealBGC.com. If you want to connect with our private community of premium growers, get grow tips from some of the best growers around the world, and get access to exclusive Dude Grow Show content, membership is free, and you can become a DGC producer if you want to help support the value that we bring you here. Head on over to RealDGC.com and get signed up today. All right, back to the show. All right, this should be easy, Scotty. Homegrown, come on. Yes, we're big fans of the homegrown.
Absolutely. And, man, you go to dispensaries much?
Nah, it's almost never. Except I only go when I cross an international border and need a pre-roll for a drive.
Oh, man, you're out with the pre-rolls, all right? But come on, let's talk about it. First off, dude, the first point I'm thinking of is freshness, because if I roll you a joint and then you smoke it this afternoon, you're going to enjoy it. But if I roll this joint 3, 4, 5 days, a week, or 10 days ago, and then put it in a container or a glass jar and hand it to you, it's not going to be nearly the same.
It can still be good, but yeah, you just straight up, you can't get as fresh.
When you're grinding something up or you're exposing it to more surface area, that's so we can, combust more efficiently. When you're grinding it up and exposing it to more surface area, it's also going to start oxidizing. Yeah, man, you better hit that quick, man.
And if you're confident in your own drying and curing process, that you're definitely going to have a better tasting, a more terpy, and good weed for sure. And usually you can check this as well. When you go to the dispensary, I don't want to say all dispos are bad. Don't get me wrong. They should be able to see the date, the process, the batch date. I don't know if it's the bagged date. Yeah, you're not trusting.
It's the packaged date. I did a little investigation on this. Yes. And when you look at it, it's packaged on, but what does that mean? How long was it sitting in a bucket? From a guy that keeps weed in a bucket, I can tell you that after 2 or 3 months, it's not the same.
Yeah. This next point, super easy. It's so much cheaper.
Yes.
And why do you want to pay taxes to the man? Come on. It's so much cheaper to grow your own. After your first initial investment, of course, your first grow. But I think was Jeremy from Build a Soul, did he say after your investment's paid back, it's almost $10 an ounce?
Yeah, he did say something like that.
For nutritional inputs to pay for electricity, these days, electricity LEDs are cheap to run. It's not like back in HID days. Anybody can a regular housebreaker, minimal notice on your electric bill for a small grow tent.
Yeah, I got maybe $15-20 worth of inputs. I'll say $30 with fresh soil every time, and I'm thinking per plant. What do you think it costs, man? Another $15 a month in electricity to grow one single plant? I'm being generous.
And if you got your green thumb going, your dank thumb, it's going to be higher quality. That's going to, I don't know though, will it be 28% THC? Don't shop for THC. Like if you are going to the dispo, that's maybe the least important factor. Of course, you don't want 1% THC, but high THC is not what it's all about.
No, we've had 18% THC weed that gets you super big. 21% used to be in the 90s, like about as high as it would go. And of course, they are going to fudge these numbers, but it really has to do with how THC interacts with the terpenes. And if your terpenes have all volatilized off, that's why we take such care and put our weed in a jar, is keep those terpenes from oxidizing and volatilizing off and having really well-kept cannabis in, dried and cured correctly. And we all know that's not easy.
Number one point I have is, or my favorite here, you know what you're getting from your home grow. When I went to a dispo, again, traveling, I usually always have my own, but when I go over a border, I can't have my bowl, my dugout with me. I take nothing. So I'm going to buy maybe a pack of some pre-rolls. You can hate on it if you want, Scotty. These pre-rolls out of this dispo in California, they were the most fruity tooty. I'm like, there's no way this is real terps. You know, it's
Great packs, man.
so when you grow your own, you're going to be pesticide free. You know, nothing bad went input nutritional wise. And you're damn proud of it. You're damn proud of what you're smoking.
And consider the motivations. My motivation is to grow cannabis that I can give to my friends that is going to impress them. The motivations that I used to do it back in the day as a free market grower, my motivations were money. And when I had business partners, I'm not making this up, I've had people say this to me, isn't there something we can spray on it, Scotty? You know that guy.
And I worked many years hydroponic retail, and it was amazing to see what people would come in to request. Because, yeah, either their job could be on the line, their mortgage payment could be on the line. They get desperate.
Yeah, what do you do if you have a giant facility that you're going to lose to powdery mildew? Do you just say, nah, we'll just throw it all away and start over, hope we don't get it again? That's what I do in my grow. But there you say, you know what? We'll have to sneak some Eagle 20 in, and we'll use that one lab that doesn't test so hard for it.
Now, I feel I do have to give a disclaimer. I know there is some good weed at dispos out there. There are some good dispensers and some good growers doing it commercially. So
yes.
I don't want to shiz on them, but we are #1 fans of homegrown. It's so affordable to do it these days. Let us know in the comments. Is there really good dispensary weed out there, or is homegrown just for the win? Which I'm going that way.
Come on, if you dig this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this one with another grower you know, and check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommend, and we think you'll dig them.
Dig that. Let's see.
Mr. Nice Guy was blowing up, man. We got customers from all over New York.
No, not that.
We even stole a few from Samson.
Oh, what's up, nigga? Come on in, man. Come on, Weed, man. Thanks, baby. You know, Peter, don't get scared.
Yeah. What can I get you today, Smoke a Lot?
Lovely. Let me get a pound of your Swedish Chiba.
Damn. Yeah, some told me to bring a lot of weed, man. Oh, shit. Pound of my Swedish Chiba. Don't get no better than that.
Smash you the bag, baby.
That's gonna be $9,600, bro.
See what I got here. Come on, man. Hang out for a minute and smoke with me. I got weed, got my bong out. Come on, son.
For you, man, I'll stay for a minute, but then I gotta be going.
I understand.
Man, Smoke a Lot opened up to me like I was Barbara Walters. It was ridiculous. He told me about his lawyer.
He had sex with my mama. Why?
Spirituality.
God, if you listen, hell.
His bad back.
Doctor said I need a backiotomy.
His love life.
I'm in for this, man. Get away from me, bitch.
I mean, talk about a guy with problems. Tough break.
I can't take it too far.
No wonder he smoked a pound a week. Somebody wanted. So now we had a famous clientele, and
Green Eye's gonna miss you.
And guess what else? Call me next week. About weed. About weed.
Presidents talk marijuana. And they literally go through 6 different presidents and they give their stance on cannabis at the time. And I thought this was very interesting. Not only does it give us an insight of the minds back in these times when these presidents were in charge, but it also kind of gives you an idea of the fear-mongering, the straight-up lies that these politicians were peddling to push their cause. And I kind of want us to figure out at the end of the day, what's holding the federal government back from pushing forward? And I know we all have our own ideas, but do any of these answers give light to that question?
On a problem with your children, for example.
In the first place, we've talked about it.
Assuming it is a problem.
It hasn't, fortunately, been a problem as far as we know with any of our children. I don't think it is. But we talk about it at the dinner table. We talk about it on other occasions. Our children, although I don't think they participate, do argue with me because I am not yet convinced we ought to legalize marijuana. They keep telling me that marijuana is no worse than drinking a martini or a scotch and soda.
Federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
Okay, so Ford. This is Jimmy Carter. For anyone who's not in America, I just want to be very clear. This is President Gerald R. Ford and President Jimmy Carter.
Leaving the states free to adopt whatever laws they wish concerning marijuana.
Nixon.
I shall continue to oppose efforts to legalize marijuana. Coming to the conclusion,
Reagan,
that marijuana, pot, grass, whatever you want to call it, is probably the most dangerous drug in the United States, and we haven't begun to find out all of the ill effects, but they are permanent ill effects.
Believes we ought to legalize marijuana. I don't. I think that'd be a push stay.
I don't think that he says legalization of it. I think what he does say is not put everyone in jail who is merely possessing.
Well, we don't do that in the state of Texas. We put the dealers, we give people second chances. We say to people, you've made a mistake. The judges in our state have got a lot of discretion.
Well, first of all,
Obama,
what is and isn't a Schedule I narcotic is a job for Congress. I think it's the DEA that decides. It's not something by ourselves that we start changing. No, there are laws undergirding most determination.
Would you support that?
But the broader point, I stand by my belief, based I think on the scientific evidence, that marijuana for casual users, individual users, is subject to abuse just like alcohol is, and should be treated as a public health problem and challenge. But as I said,
done away with. It should be changed to Schedule II drug. It should not be. We should move in the direction to make sure it's not a criminal offense. It's a civil offense.
Damn well we a red state.
Anything, in fact, that any conviction at all for marijuana, now or in the future, in the past, your record should be wiped clean. It's not something that is going to send anybody to jail. The reason, and so I support states, in fact, to have already.
And first of all, medical marijuana has been amazing. I've had friends and I've had others and doctors telling me that it's been absolutely amazing, the medical marijuana. It's got to be done in a very concerted, lawful way. And the way they're doing it in Florida, I think, is going to be actually good. It's going to be very good. But it's got to be done in a good way. It's got to be done in a clean way. You go into some of these places, like in New York, it smells all marijuana. You've got to have a system.
You got evidence that goes back as far as Reagan to as recent as Trump. And you have some that are for it back in those times, and then you have some that are against it today. Shout out to Seedsman. If you're looking for some quality genetics from a quality place, check out Seedsman. Use promo code PIGEONS420. They're working with some of the best breeders in the game to hook you up with quality genetics. Check them out. Use promo code PIGEONS420 and thank them both for sponsoring today's video. Thank you to Vivo Sun for sponsoring today's video with their V-Grow box. You can find these at vivosun.com and their new V-Cure. This grow box is great for small spaces and can be controlled from your phone. Everything in one spot. If you want to check out the V-Grow box, head on over to Vivo Sun. You can use promo code PIGEONS420 or over on Amazon, Pigeons Coop. Save a few dollars off at checkout. Get yourself a box and grow like the pros. Doesn't matter where you are. It's kind of like you have these lineup of opinions that kind of are all over the place. But one thing that is consistent is the way that it's like throughout all this time, public perception towards cannabis was changing. It was growing in favor of. And still politicians were starch against it. One thing that I noticed in particular was the lies, straight up blatant lies. I think cannabis is the worst drug in the country. It's like, wow, at this point, heroin is a thing, cocaine is a thing, alcohol is a thing. These are all things that have been around already, and yet marijuana is the one that's the most dangerous. What do you think it is that has these politicians saying that cannabis is the worst drug on the streets? Because in my personal opinion, I can almost guarantee that these politicians would say something like this and then go home and then abuse, insert a particular drug, whether it's alcohol, whether it's prescription drugs, whether it's cocaine. I would wager, in fact, that that's kind of how it was. And yet there was still these lies. Or how about Bush saying that they put big users and dealers in jail? What is a big user or a dealer? Is some 16-year-old kid peddling a couple ounces or a few grams, is that a big dealer? There's so much vague and so much unknowns put into these sentences and statements for a reason. And it's like, what is the underlying reason for such a stark opinion against this plan? Because guess what? Whether you like it or not, when a president makes these remarks, now I'm not certain if all these presidents were actually in the office of the president at the time of those statements. These might have been governors at the time, I'm not sure. However, what makes you think that these opinions become so one way? How is it that they get so misguided? What is it? Is it the money? Is it the influence from big pharmacy, big tobacco, big whatever, saying, hey, if you don't keep pushing against it, we're simply going to quit giving you funding. We're not going to support you. We're going to go to the other candidate. What is it that's holding these politicians back? Just like right now, we are still waiting for rescheduling to happen. What's holding them back? They're going to tell you that they're looking into things or they're doing the work or research and whatever. The research has been done. The evidence is already out there. What's holding them back? I'm really curious to know what you guys think. What do you guys think? And be honest, what do you think it is? I don't think there's a wrong answer, and if you're, trying to figure out what it is, because we have the right to know. Did you enjoy this clip? Well, if so, I got a brand new channel with all the highlights, all the talking points, and interviews. Plus, I talk a bunch of shit and so much more. Link down below. Check it out. Are you looking for a new way to control your G Series, SE, and SF Series grow lights from Spider Farmer? Well, now you can with the AC5 Power Strip Kit. You can now connect your Spider Farmer equipment to one power strip. The kit includes the power strip, a temperature, humidity, and light sensor, 3-in-1 soil sensor, 2-in-1 adapter, a 2.5mm RJ12 cables, 3 RJ12 telephone line splitters, and 6 hook and loop clamps. You can connect to a temperature, humidity, and light sensor to automatically dim or turn off the lights based on the detected temperature. If you head on over to spider-farmer.com, use promo code PIGEONS420. You're going to save a few dollars off at checkout, and you're now going to have control over your entire Spider Farmer tent. And thanks to Spider Farmer for sponsoring today's video.
Okay, yeah. Just lie down on the bed, like the couch. The couch, yeah. And just put your arm up, yeah, just like that. Yeah, there we go. And keep your head up. Look at me, Rose. Look at me.
Every night
Stay still.
in my dreams, I see you. I feel you. Saving money. That is how I know. Like the guy saying, go on. Beneficial criteria. Far across the distance.
First he did Titanic. Shout out to Pigeons, though. He'll come with something. Stash blend, see? It'll enhance your smoking.
Everybody in New York was calling to get down with Mr. Nice Guy. We met all kinds of customers, like this guy here. He's what we call an enhancement smoker, because he thinks that marijuana makes every activity that much better.
Mi casa su casa.
Observe.
You're Scarface, right?
Yeah.
I love Al Pacino, man. Did you ever see Son of a Woman?
Yup.
You ever seen Son of a Woman on weed? That's the way to see it, man. It's just whack.
$60, yo.
Cool, man. I got it. Did you ever see the back of a $20 bill, man?
No, I don't know, yo.
Did you ever see the back of a $20 bill on weed? Oh, there's some weird shit in there, man. There's a dude sitting in the bushes, man. Does he have a gun? I don't know, man. I don't know. What? Red team go. Red team go. It's just some weird shit, man.
Man, you're fucking crazy, yo.
No, it's cool. Thanks, man. Hey, yo, wait. Dude, I'm gonna check out the stars later. It's really trippy. Especially on weed, man.
Shout out to that big homie Neo.
YouTube, what's good with it, man? It's your boy Neo Cannabis, and I'm back with another video. So in this video today, I'm going to be making my case for why I believe trapping is dead in 2025. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Neo Cannabis. In 2018, I started a licensed cannabis delivery service based in Oakland, California, and within 2 years, I scaled that into a 7-figure operation. Now, I teach current and prospective cannabis entrepreneurs how to start and scale their own businesses, how to break into this industry, and how to get to the next level. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, please like, share, comment, subscribe. You're not going to want to miss out. Also, for anything within this cannabis industry, I am your source, whether that's vendors, collabs, consultations, free resources, introductions to people within my network. Feel free to hit my email at neocannabis1@gmail.com and I will get you right. So without further ado, let's hop into this video. Is trapping dead in 2025? I'm going to make my case for why I think it is. I would say I can give two main reasons why I believe this is the case. So first reason, obviously we understand that there's a lot of price compression in the market. There's not much profit. If you're not busting down in 2025, or if you're not moving crazy volume like boxes, cases, so we're talking about thousands or hundreds at a time, there's not really much money in trapping. The days of buying 2-3 Ps and flipping them for double of what you bought them for. So if you bought a P for $1,000 and being able to flip them and make $1,000 profit, those days are over. The margins aren't there for the average trapper in this industry. It's all about volume, or it's all about bust now. But as we know, volume, it takes a special type of trapper. You have to build your reputation in the industry to be even able to have that many clients, to be able to have the bankroll to fund that amount of volume that you're purchasing. To purchase even a box, 1,000 Ps, say each P is $1,000, you need $100,000 cash, unless you're able to get fronted. But even that, there's a lot of liability and risk in getting fronted that amount of product. And then if you're talking about bust down, you can only bust down so fast. And bust down, for the geniuses that want to come into the comments, I'm talking about ounces and under. QPs, half pounds, of course pounds, that's not bust down. So let's debunk that. Bust down is anything to where you're selling to the retail customer. The average retail customer is not buying a QP. The average retail customer is not buying a half. The average retail customer at most may buy an ounce, maybe 2 ounces, but most people at most are going to buy an ounce at a time. So to circle everything back up, we know that there's a lot of price compression. We know that there's a saturation in the market of trappers. I believe there's not a saturation of product, and I've talked about that in another video. People have always said that there's too much supply. I don't personally think there's too much supply. I think there's an oversupply of poor businessmen, poor quality trappers. There's an oversupply of that. So due to those causes, you have low margins, you have an oversupply of trappers, you have an oversupply of poor quality product, you have a low amount of education for the product that trappers and customers are buying. There's trappers that are buying depths or lytises and they think it's indoor, and then they're selling that to the customer, or they're buying the Chinaman pack and they're telling the customer that this is quality organic indoor, but the whole time they don't know what the hell they just bought. So due to all these causes, this has created a situation where trapping is dead in 2025. You have all these forces going against you. Say if I just wanted to, with no experience, no network, no connections, I just wanted to get into trapping, that would be a terrible choice or a terrible career, and this would be a terrible time to enter. Whereas maybe 10 years ago, if I wanted to become a trapper, there was a lot of upside to doing that, because again, everybody and their mom wasn't trying to become a trapper. Everybody and their mom wasn't trying to become the plug, because we know what comes with being the plug comes with the clout, comes with the social media presence, comes with, hey, I'm the za man, I got the peas, even though I'm only making $100 off each pea. People in 2025 don't care about that. They want the status. They don't want the money. They don't care about the money. It's all about who can I impress? Who do I know? What type of parties or what type of events can I get connected into because I have the status of, oh, I'm the za man? How can I frame it to where, oh, I have this popping brand or I have this popping distro? You can create a facade where you're making your trap look way more popping than what it actually is. And that's the era that we're in 2025. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of capping. There's a lot of people claiming they are the Grand Wizard Gandalf trappers, but this isn't reality. It's not true. Everybody is not moving 100 Ps. Everybody is not moving 50 Ps. People are not even moving 5 Ps. So this whole amalgamation of people have created a situation where in 2025, trapping is dead. There is way more risk. There is way more liability. There is way more negatives that come with jumping into the game today as a trapper than there would be the reward. There's way more risk than reward. In any type of situation like that, that means that type of career path, that type of investment into that product or into that lifestyle would mean that's dead. Like, there's no point to do that. So that's a huge reason why. Also, there's a lot of people who come into this for the wrong reasons and they don't understand business. They think, oh, if I get a couple P's, I'm gonna be able to break them down, or I'm gonna be able to wholesale them. And just me having the za, oh, I have the za, I got the Chinaman packs, I got the depths, that's going to be enough for me to separate myself from the trapper down the street. Well, let me tell you, it's not. Because in today's time, you need a brand. You need to understand what is going to differentiate you from your competition. And a lot of people don't even think that far. They think the value is in the weed. They think the value is in the za. The value is not in the za. Everybody has weed. Yes, some people may have better quality than others, but in today's age, for the most part, weed is very accessible. The variations that you can get, like, of course, in California, you'll have way more access than somebody in Alabama, but nevertheless, you can still get weed in Alabama, just like you can get weed in California. So knowing that, most people don't even think that far, and they think, oh, just because I have weed and now I'm a trapper, I made a social media account through Instagram, I made a Telegram, that's enough for me to thrive within this industry. Well, let me tell you, it's not. Because the only people that are winning in 2025 are brands, are businessmen. Because if you own a brand, you have to be a businessman. It's a level above a trapper. The average trapper has no understanding of business. In order to build a real brand, not just say you're a brand, to actually build a brand that has demand, that has hype, that has a following, that has a community, you have to understand business. You have to understand marketing. You have to understand cost of goods. You have to understand a plethora of things that come with running a business. You have to understand branding, how to appeal to a specific customer base. You have to understand who is your niche. What type of customer am I trying to target? So the average trapper, to summarize it, doesn't even think that far. There's levels to this. There's levels to the cannabis industry. And if you're a trapper, you're at the lowest level possible if you're not thinking about branding, if you're not thinking about separating yourself from the competition, if you're not thinking about where you want to be at in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Because this industry is about longevity. It's not short term. A lot of people have came and gone in this industry. A lot of people, a lot of brands, legal and black market, have ran it up, made millions of dollars, and then within 2-3 years they fizzled out and went bankrupt, or they took one L and it was over with and they went to jail, or their whole operation blew up in their face. So that would be the first reason why I believe trapping is dead. It's a combination of bad businessmen who claim themselves as trappers, a combination of people not understanding the importance of branding, price compression, people jumping into the game for the wrong reasons. It's just a huge mess in the industry today. And all of these factors have contributed to why I feel like that trapping is dead. So my second reason why I believe trapping is dead, THCA. For those who do not understand what THCA is, in summary, all weed is THCA weed. I know there's this misinformation. Oh, that's that fake weed. That stuff doesn't get you high. Well, let me ask you this. Are there not different quality levels of weed? So if I buy weed from Jimmy down the street and I buy some top shelf exotic from a small batch grower, you don't think that one is going to be better than the other? That's the same thing with THCA. If you buy some old stale weed from a gas station that you don't know where it's sourced from, you don't know the THC levels, you don't know how it's grown, you don't know if it's indoor, outdoor, light depth, you know nothing about it, you think if you purchase that quality of weed is going to be good? And that's where the misconception comes from, because anytime I ask the people, where did you get that THCA weed from? Oh, it was a gas station. Well, there goes your answer. For those who do not understand what the THCA industry is, in 2018, Donald Trump passed the 2018 Farm Bill. Underneath the Farm Bill, allowed for the legalization of hemp. The only difference from hemp and cannabis is that hemp is any type of cannabis that tests under 0.3 THC percentage. That's the only difference. Hemp is only a definition that was created for the Farm Bill. So politicians, when they wrote the bill, they gave meaning to the word hemp. And the only thing that differentiates hemp from cannabis is that it tests under 0.3 THC percentage. Little did they know is that THCA converts into THC when it's heated. So therefore, all weed is THCA because you do not get THC without THCA. The A component falls off when it's heated. That's the simple SparkNotes summary of THCA. So I believe in 2025, trapping is dead because the THCA hemp industry will dominate. If you are a trapper and you are not looking into THCA, because we know that THCA is federally legal. I always tell people this when people say, man, I can't wait till cannabis is legalized. It's already been legalized. It's already been federally legal since 2018 when they legalized hemp, because hemp is cannabis. So I believe if you are a trapper and you're not capitalizing off of the THCA wave, you are a idiot, because this loophole, whatever you want to call it, this allows you to trap legally. You can turn your hustle into a legitimate business where you file taxes, you can get loans, you can get lines of credit, you can open business bank accounts, because this is a legal business. So 2025, trapping is dead because you can now do it legally. So therefore, are we really trappers? We're legal businessmen. So this is how we have to rework, reframe our mindsets. Anytime we're inside of this industry, whether you want to do it on the black market, whether you want to do it on the hemp side, whether you want to do it on the legal side, then you have to treat this like a business. You have to understand the key components of business. The purpose of business is to make sales, obtain customers, generate profits. If you can understand that, if you can accomplish that, you will be very successful 2025 and going forward into the future. If you haven't capitalized off the THCA hemp wave, I do have some verified vendors down below in the description. Make sure to check that out. And I also want to leave you with this. A lot of these states have been trying to crack down on the THCA hemp industry. It's provided tens of thousands of people with jobs. It's created multimillionaires. It's created $10 million plus businesses across the nation. You know, it's done a lot of great things for the cannabis industry. So if you want to be a part of that and you are in this industry If you're a trapper, if you're doing it legally, if you want to do it legally, there's literally no excuse because there's no barrier to entry to start a THCA business in 2025. So start today. Create your LLC, create your brand. If you need help, you can schedule a consultation. I can walk you through that process. If you let this opportunity of a lifetime to get into this industry pass you by, you are the only person to blame. So if this video brought you any type of value, please like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new. And until next time, peace, I'm out.
Shout out to Higher Desert Resort. Y'all know to go check out the big homies every Friday. Check out what they got going on over there.
Welcome into our latest Traded Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and today we're welcoming you back in for a wild weekly recap of the cannabis industry, from a potential hemp ban in Washington to whiskey sales dropping thanks to weed, and a wave of reform sweeping through Pennsylvania and Texas. So let's break it all down. But before we get into today's weekly recap, a quick reminder to like, subscribe, and let us know what you think were the biggest moments this week in cannabis, and if you find these weekly recaps helpful. We always love to get your feedback. So with that, let's get into it. So let's first kick things off on Capitol Hill. The House Appropriations Subcommittee advanced a new spending bill that would effectively redefine hemp, and not in a good way. The move is led by Republican Andy Harrison and targets the so-called hemp loophole that has allowed CBD, Delta-8, and other cannabinoid products to thrive since the 2018 Farm Bill. Under this language, hemp would now only mean plants grown for fiber, grain, or microgreens, not cannabinoids. That means even trace amounts of THC or anything that feels like THC could be federally banned. This is not a good thing. And with that, smart approaches to marijuana, Sam clearly is calling this a huge win for them. But hemp advocates are calling it DEFCON 1. Jonathan Miller from the Hemp Roundtable said this could wipe out the $8 billion hemp industry and put tens of thousands of jobs at risk. You don't say. The bill still needs to survive the full House and Senate, so stay tuned on what could happen next year. Still a long way to go. Now over to the war between cannabis and alcohol. If you've been lighting up instead of pouring a drink, you're not alone. And big alcohol is now paying attention. We've known this for quite some time. And what I mean by that is Brown-Forman CEO Lawson Whiting, the guy behind Jack Daniels and Woodford Reserve, just admitted that marijuana is pressuring spirit sales. Net sales were down 5%, and Whiting blamed it on, you guessed it, cannabis, changing generational preferences, and Ozempic. Even in Europe, where legal weed is limited, alcohol sales are slumping. Cannabis legalization is now officially listed as a risk factor for Brown-Forman's future growth. We're starting to see some change here. According According to Bloomberg, weed is stealing the buzz, especially among millennials and Gen Z. One report even says cannabis could add 20 million regular users by 2027, while booze loses millions. That's not that far away. The bottom line, the future may be less whiskey neat and a lot more pre-rolls and gummies. Bring it on. Now over to PA, where Governor Josh Shapiro says he wants marijuana legalization bill on his desk by the end of June. After the House-backed bill failed, a new compromise is in the works from Senator Sharif Street and Republican Rick Krajewski. Shapiro stressed this is about justice, competitiveness, and tax revenue, especially tax revenue. With 60% of some border dispensary customers coming from PA, the pressure's on to catch up, especially when you look at all these neighboring states. Meanwhile, Senator Dan Laughlin, he wants to slow things down and first create a new agency to regulate cannabis. Still, whichever way you look at it, progress is building. Now to the Lone Star State. In a rare bipartisan move, Texas lawmakers passed a major expansion of the state's compassionate use program. The bill now includes chronic pain, TBI, Crohn's, and palliative care, and removes the controversial opioids first mandate. This is interesting. It also allows more product formats, boosts dispensary licenses from 3 to now 15, and lets doctors petition for new conditions. All eyes are now on Governor Greg Abbott to sign. Big question is, will he? And now in California, lawmakers are working to delay a scheduled excise tax hike on cannabis from 15% to 19, originally set for July 2025. The new bill could push it out to 2030. Let's push that out. Meanwhile, Normal and others are urging quick action, saying the tax is driving people back to the illicit market and crushing small legal operators. A procedural move could make the delay immediate if added to a budget trailer bill. Let's shift now to the business side of things, where Trulieve launched the Roll Up for Justice campaign to support Weldon Angelos' Mission Green, helping expunge records and support re-entry for non-violent cannabis offenders. Spare change here could spark some real change. Also making news was multi-state operator Terracin, where CFO Keith Staffer is stepping down on July 18th. Alyssa Campbell will serve as interim CFO as the company searches for a permanent replacement. Next up is Vireo Growth, who just acquired Proper Brands in Missouri for $102 million in stock, scoring 11 dispensaries, a large cultivation facility, and a growing delivery business. Next up is Cannabix and Omega Labs, and they're moving closer to launching a marijuana breath test that detects recent THC use, not what you smoked last week. Commercialization is in progress. We also saw news this week from multi-state operator the Cannabis Company Holdings, who added restructuring expert Tom Lynch and Leafly Chief Operating Officer Peter Lee to its board, signaling a strategic pivot following debt restructuring. This is a company that people are rooting for. Let's get some progress, not perfection here. Let's now head to the land down under, where Aurora Cannabis is stepping up in Australia with 2 new 22% THC strains under its Indemed brand via MedRelief. Global reach plus premium product equals their growing formula. Another Canadian LP making news this week was Rubicon Organics, which finally acquired and sealed the deal in the new 47,500 square foot indoor facility in Hope, BC. Get this, expect output to jump 40% in full revenue contribution by 2026. It's a great story here by Margaret and the team. Also making the news this week was Incanix, who added 4 major sleep researchers to its advisory board for IHL42X. It's a cannabis-based sleep apnea drug. Phase 2 data drops in July. New Lake Capital, they also made an announcement this week where they will be hitting the circuit this June. First up this week will be in Chicago at the Benzinga Capital Conference on June 9th, followed by the Audition Virtual Conference on June 12th, and finally, the big one, Cannabis Europa in London on June 24th. So what's in store? Each panel will focus on cannabis debt, finance, and the evolving global capital landscape. Pack your bags and get your passport ready, Mr. Caniglio. Also, some interesting news that we came across this week involves Frank Colombo over at Viridian, who had some sharp analysis on the Air Wellness restructure. If you're holding or even considering a contrarian play, this might be worth a read. So make sure to subscribe to his daily newsletter when you get a chance. An interesting take on what investors should know what's next for air wellness, as we've been highlighting a lot over the past 7 to 10 days. And finally, Village Farms has officially closed the sale of its produce business, going full throttle into cannabis. And this has been the big story of the industry over the past month. With 160 acres of greenhouse power behind them, CEO Michael DeGiulio says they're now a focused global cannabis platform. Pro forma financials are on the way. And here's something: Michael DeGiulio, their CEO, continues to buy stock this week, so that's worth pointing out. Let's face it, BFF, it's been the darling of the space over the last 30 days. So that's a wrap this week for the Traded Black podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, smash on that bell for all notifications. Keep the conversation going. What was the biggest moment for you this week in the cannabis industry? You got any questions about PA, Texas, regarding hemp, regarding the overall cannabis industry? Let us know. We always love to have some transparency and love to get your feedback. We're going live tomorrow morning in Chicago at the Benzinga Capital Conference. We'll be live streaming all day, featuring the biggest thought leaders in the space. So make sure you stay connected. Be with us tomorrow, as it should be a good day with a number of interviews that we will have for probably 6 or 7 hours. So a big day coming up. One last thing, make sure to scan this QR code and become a daily baked-in newsletter subscriber delivered to your inbox weekdays, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, giving you all the latest information on the business and reform side of the cannabis industry. Thanks for checking everybody, the Traded Black podcast and the TDR channel, home to 50,000 subscribers this week. So a big thank you for everyone that supports us. Let's keep this community growing. Until then, stay open-minded, stay connected, and I'll see you next time at our latest Traded Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Thanks again for watching.
From summer's end till the winter comes, till gray days turn to yellow ones. I stay grinding for mine. I try to tell them once, to travel to the moon, you gotta brave the elements. And battle many goons, you gotta cage the elephants. It's elementary, I speak with a certain eloquence. I smoke hella blunts, a habit I've been developed since I was a young boy playing the silver ball. See them stand, feel them fall, Metallica, kill them all. Living like this is my last moment, but a moment could last forever. Snap a picture and now hold it. Give whatever you gon', sip in your glass, hold it up. Hit the side on mine, get the tip in the back, go in. So many days we were sitting low. Better get busy living till the day you giving and they get to go where the sinners go. Pulling the cash and spend it slow, better make it fast, but them shit no matter no money, yo, it's all expendable. You'll be alright, yeah.
Alright, so that's the end of our videos. Y'all already know to come check back with your boy on
Hey everyone,
Saturday.
welcome into our latest Traded Black podcast.
See more videos and videos all put together for more videos. I mean, it's video season. You dig? Hopefully you're having a good day in paradise. If not, I'll at your boy for some coaching. It's about time for us to go ahead and step it up